It is hotter than a speed swarm full of trust fires out there. Seriously, it is so hot outside that our government has started asking people to save water by taking showers instead of baths and not using our hose pipes and juicing cats for sustenance. Given the absolutely blistering heat and the imminent water shortage that will no doubt follow, I've decided to do a review on some water blasters. So the first blaster up for review is the X-Shot Typhoon Thunder. And as you can see, the chap on the box has been unceremoniously decapitated by my 5-year-old son. The head of this chap has been unceremoniously decapitated by my 5-year-old son. Can you decapitate a head? Surely you decapitate a person. The blaster itself is pretty basic to operate. There's no trigger. You literally just pump on this foregrip and it will shoot water out. The grip is reasonably comfortable, but for some reason X-Shot have included this faux trigger, which is really uncomfortable. It cuts into your finger and it's not a great deal of fun. So X-Shot, if you revise this, please change that. They've also been sensible enough to make sure that this cap is attached so you can't lose it. And all you do is pop it down and you give it a little turn and it's locked in place, which is a really nice little bit of design. One of the problems that I have with this blaster is the name. It's called the Typhoon Thunder. Now I understand the reference to a typhoon because obviously it's a water blaster and they want you to think you're going to get soaking wet when you buy it. However, they have not named it after a typhoon. They have named it after the thunder that happens when there's a typhoon. And thunder does not make you wet. Okay, X-Shot, I don't know who your meteorological consultant is, but if they've told you that it's the thunder in a typhoon that is the thing that makes you wet, they are wrong. It should be called the typhoon rain, or the typhoon drizzle, the typhoon light shower, or maybe even just the typhoon. I simply do not understand why it's so difficult to put a little bit of research into the name and make sure that what you call your blaster actually makes sense. I mean, you've got multi-million-pound industry with like marketing people who have degrees and who are trained, and they still cannot come up with names for their blasters that actually make sense. Now, as you'll see when I do a shooting demonstration, the range on this is actually pretty good. However, the problem is the capacity. It doesn't hold enough water to get you through a great deal of a water fight before you have to go and refill. Is that a big issue? Not really, because let's be honest, you're going to be in the garden trying to shoot each other with water and cool off. You're not going to be running this in some kind of a tactical Nerf game. So, you know, little bit of perspective, but the capacity could be higher. Second blaster I have for review is the Stealth Soaker. Well, both of them are more uncomfortable than a Busby Rep at a Nerf convention. Now again, X-Shot, I have a real issue with the names that you are choosing for your blasters. This thing is about as stealthy as a clown wearing a honking butt plug. This thing would not be stealthy, X-Shot, if you strapped it to a stealth jet being piloted under the radar by a ninja. There is nothing stealthy about this blaster. And as for Soaker, this thing is essentially a 1980s pound shop squirt gun. There is nothing about this that is going to soak you. I mean, come on, X-Shot, why is it so difficult to come up with a name for a blaster that makes sense? In a world where life is just so hard already, why do you have to make it even more difficult by naming... So, henceforth, this blaster will be known as the blatantly obvious dampener. That gripe aside, it does look quite cool, and I do like the translucent green because I really like green. And because you've got this extra kind of magazine looking thing down here, it actually holds a fair amount of water. Operation is exactly the same as your 1980s squirt gun. You pull the trigger and water comes out of it, but it lasts ages. You literally just pump that was unexpected. Whoops. The grip on this one, being designed for children, is very uncomfortable on my hands because this little bit that just pops out here digs right into your finger and it's not comfortable at all. And I did find that after playing with it for a prolonged period of time that my trigger finger started to hurt as well. Again, X-Shot have thought to make sure that the cap is attached, but this one's a push in and it is a little bit more difficult to do than the screw-on one on the Typhoon Thunder. So likely if you've got any younger kids, they're going to want a little bit of a hand when they're trying to fill this one up. One of the issues that I had with both of these blasters is that they have stickers on them. And the stickers became waterlogged and they discoloured a little bit, and I would imagine that over time they will probably come off. So a little bit disappointed in that. I think maybe that needs to be addressed and the X-Shot logo perhaps needs to be sort of moulded into the blaster rather than attached as a sticker. Okay, so that's both blasters. Let's take them outside and we'll do a little bit of a firing demo. So the first one to test fire is the Typhoon Thunder. Which has a really, really good range on it. I mean, you look at, I don't know if you can see that, but that is getting almost all the way to the end of my garden. But that is basically all you get out of it, and then you have to refill. Well, and does spider. And then we have the blatantly obvious dampener. Now the strange thing about this one seems to be if you try and squirt your water out too fast, you don't actually get the full range of fire. And that is sort of reaching the edge of my lawn. So the range on it in fact is not horrendous, but I'm not sure that it's any more than you would actually get out of a normal squirt gun. And it does just keep on going. I mean that is all, that's not even half of sort of all the water that is in there. So, you know, prolonged play, this one is definitely the one to go for. Is to come going to be raving about still spider. Would I recommend the Typhoon Thunder? Yeah, probably. It's essentially the same operation as things like your Super Soakers and your Busby water blasters and things like that. It does what it's supposed to. The capacity is a bit low and this trigger thing is really annoying. But, you know, it does what it's supposed to and it's a lot of fun. Whether I would recommend the blatantly obvious dampener really comes down to what you want out of your blaster, because this is essentially a squirt gun that looks pretty. Now, if looking pretty is important to you, and you can get over the fact that it's quite uncomfortable to hold, or if you're giving it to a child with small hands, then absolutely, you know, this thing is great, it looks cool, and it's as fun as any other water blaster. If the aesthetics don't bother you, then honestly go down the pound shop and buy a cheap squirt gun. So that is my review of the two X-Shot water blasters. Do you agree with the things that I've said? Do you have a favourite water blaster? Do you think that I should not be reviewing water blasters and I should stick to sort of foam flinging blasters, which is what this channel is supposed to be about? Comments down below, and thank you very much for watching.